No, I'm not changing my prediction at all. I just want to talk about positives really and exciting signings rather than kind of some of the balance that we've shown about some of the other sides. I just think that's a real exciting signing. Yeah. Is there anyone else that stands out for you that wasn't on the shortlist? Talk about your Bradford signing.
Okay, right. I fully admit I've bent the rules about the categorisation, but I think both Hitchcock and Webster could still be playing Super League. Hitchcock particularly, obviously Webster's coming towards the end, but to me Hitchcock's is as good as pretty much most wingers in Super League. I'd put it out there. Other than
he's got a fantastic try-scoring strike rate over the last 2 seasons when he has played. Obviously, getting game time on that left edge for Castleford outside Luke Gale in 2017 and at times in 2018 was not going to do your strike rate any harm.
No, of course not. But I mean, he, against the slightly less functional right-hand side, for us, he did the same. Particularly the last game of the year at when it all mattered against Workington. His finishing was absolute top draw. So I'm delighted that we've got him. I think with Ryan on the other side, I think we've got a real quality winger outlet, and I think we're well set up for the year.
James Green, if he can keep his head about him, if he can keep his temper under check, is a powerful figure in the pack, and Connor Farrell is a big engine, really. So that's another one that you can be slightly excited about, I suppose. Batley have brought in some players who've fallen out of Super League reckoning. Sam Wood is a player who can play anywhere across the back 7 positions, so he might have a thing to say for them in creating stuff. And Tyler Dickinson is a player that I think didn't quite get the game time at Huddersfield that he might have wanted. I think he'll want to prove a point. Barrow, they brought in a load of PNG Hunters players over as well. Willie Minogue is probably the headline one out of them for me because he's a player I remember from the World Cup.
Yeah.
And Gareth Hock and Jordan Wallen as well have both come in. But Gareth Hock is an exciting player surely for them, even though, passed on in years now. But he's a headline, isn't he? He's a headline.
Yeah.
Good or bad?
Exactly.
The headline. Dewsbury have taken a few Bradford players, haven't they? A few of Bradford's outside back who didn't really get much of a go last year. Jordan Andrade, Alex Brown, Harvey Burnett, Danny King. Loads of people who've come over from Bradford for them. But maybe if you're talking more excitement generators, there's Lewis Hexford, the young halfback who's come over from Wigan, which should be a good option for them, and Jack Gray, the young hooker who's coming from Castleford Tigers as well. So they've got some youth there that'll be wanting to show their wares and maybe play without fear under a coach who'll encourage that.
No, it's just an exciting time of year, isn't it? All this potential before reality strikes. But there's some real some really interesting teams out there, and it is obviously we've kind of put them in pigeonholes now, haven't we, about where they're going to be? But it's everyone starts on 0 points, don't we? And we can take it from there.
I think we've spoke about most of the other clubs. Sheffield, we haven't really talked about who they've signed. I'd say they have made a couple of really decent signings actually in the back row with Joel Farrell and with Brad Knowles who've come over. So I think that's good for them. Pat Walker's come back to them, hasn't he? Who was instrumental when they were good a number of years ago. Now whether or not he's still going to have much of an influence is obviously a few years older and a few years more battered and bruised. But maybe Anthony Thackeray is the player to be excited about. He's a player who's ran the show at Featherstone in the Championship at various times over the last decade. So good signing for them.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Pat Walker was very good for Batley last year, kind of always popping up. So yeah, I'm sure he's still got a bit of petrol left in the tank.
I think overall we've talked about almost every side's signings in a bit of detail through that roundup. So that I think that's us for the Championship. Let everyone let us know what you think of our predictions. I'm sure people will have a lot to say. We'll just recap Alan's top 14, and then I'll recap mine as well. So I'll go with yours.
Yep. So we've got Toronto, Toulouse, Widnes, Bradford, Halifax, Lee, Featherstone, Batley, York, Dewsbury, Sheffield, Swinton, and then Barrow and Rochdale.
And I've got Toronto, Toulouse, Bradford, Widnes and Lee are my playoff 5. Halifax just missing out. Then it'll be York, Featherstone, Batley, Dewsbury, Swinton, Barrow, Sheffield and Rochdale. Brilliant. Right, cool. Now we're going to move on to the Challenge Cup. So, results time, and to be honest, Al, I was putting the rundown together, and I was prepared to talk for an hour about the championship, and then I was like, oh crap, loads of Challenge Cup games are going on. This is awesome, we've got results to talk about. So, why don't you start by taking us through the Coral Challenge Cup Round 1 results?
Yep, so all 26 matches played over the weekend. So, we had Hunslet Warriors 16, Featherstone Lions 28, Kells 4, Rochdale Mayfield 14, Dewsbury Moor 24, Skirlow 10, East Leeds 24, Batley Boys 10, Wigan St Jude's 15, Crossfields 14. Close one there.
Close one there, exciting. Another one.
Bentley 18, the Army 16.
Who were Bentley?
Bentley's near Doncaster.
Right, okay. I've never seen their name come up before.
Well, there you go.
They beat the Army.
They did. They're in the second round.
Must be tough.
Yep. Not so good for the Navy. They went down 42-12 to West Hull. Drigglington 32, the Gloucestershire Old Golds 4. Tough game for Gloucestershire, that one. Distington 48, Toffee and Tigers 0.
Tough game for the Welsh lads, that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Shawcross Sharks 18, Haydock 28. Ovenden 22, Woolston Rovers 20, another close one. Oral St James 12, Underbank Rangers 30. York Acorn 42, Beverley 4. Normanton Knights 50, Edinburgh Eagles 16. Clockface Miners 0, Siddle 24. Hunslet Club Parkside 16, Thornhill Trojans 30.
That's a shock, innit? You know, the side that went undefeated in their league season last year and put up a good showing in the Yorkshire Cup.
Certainly did.
To get dumped out of the Challenge Cup to a team ranked a bit below them.
A little bit. Yeah. Thatto Heath 32, Stanley 6. London Chargers 6, Wathbrow Hornets 34. West Bowling 42, Hammersmith Hill Hoists, great name, 12. Lee Miners Rangers 22, Alton Raiders 10. Wallsend Eagles 18, Police 44. Lee East 12, Wigan St Pat's 24. Dudley Hill 0, Milford Marlins 16. North Hearts Crusaders 6, the Royal Air Force 22. Castleford Loch Lane 16, Longhorns 10 at the game that I was at. And finally, Millom 38, Red Star Belgrade 10.
So the two streamed games were that Millom against Red Star Belgrade, the one that was drawing all the headlines. It looked very, very windy there. Millom obviously showing a little bit more of a team that have been together, a little bit longer and probably playing the game a little bit longer too, able to handle those weird and tough conditions a little bit better. But a big shout out for a few of these expansion area teams that got on the scoreboards at least. Red Star didn't embarrass themselves with that. Neither did the Edinburgh Eagles, even though they put up a big score. Even though Normanton put up a big score against them, Edinburgh scored a few tries in that one as well. So a few of those out of area teams did quite well. You're going to talk about another one in just a second, but the other streamed game, Saturday's streamed game, played in pretty poor conditions. Not quite as bad as we saw elsewhere, but it was raining quite a bit, and that was it's fallen off my piece of paper. Which game was it?
Which one was it? I wasn't there to watch it on Saturday. It was... Oh, come on. Which one was it?
I sat and watched it. Oh, well, I didn't. I sat and watched Wigan, and this was on at the same time.
This is the trouble with multiple streaming going on. That's the thing.
Anyway. I can't remember.
That's going to embarrass it now, isn't it?
It's annoying. It's really annoying.
Well, I'll tell you what. You think about that, and I'll talk a little bit about the game on Sunday. Yes,
I have loads of hot takes about how like it was a little bit. It was a little bit like there was every. You talk about Loch Lane.
Okay, so obviously this was an established kind of heartland team playing against the Irish champions, the Longhorns, and I've got to say, the difference between the teams wasn't massive. I mean, it probably helped that Loch Lane played with 12 men for a fair part of the game, certainly in the second half. But yeah, it was obviously the weather was a bit rough. It was very, very windy. Even though actually most of the conversions were actually kicked in the end. But yeah, it was typical kind of winter conditions as you'd expect. But yeah, I actually thought the Longhorns did themselves a lot of credit. The two cards that Loch Lane got, one of them was very weird. So Longhorns had a penalty and they kicked the ball out to touch, and as you kind of get at the amateur games, like the ball went quite a long way, and then two balls came onto the pitch, and for some reason the Loch Lane winger chucked both balls towards where the kind of where the tap would be, and the referee was having none of that and gave him a yellow card for that. And then there was a red card towards the end, which was a high shot by one of the Loch Lane players on one of the Longhorns guys, which I was on the other side, so I didn't see it very clearly, but the touch judge was a lot closer, and he kind of, on his advice, he gave him his marching orders. But yeah, it was close. I mean, there was kind of, it wouldn't surprise me if they'd equalled it up at the end. But yeah, Loch Lane just kind of held on, and it was a competitive match.
Yeah, and obviously Longhorns coming over from Ireland, and I'd say obviously doing themselves proud. Kind of from what you say, the conditions
completely
helped keep it close. But the Longhorns have been around for a while now. And if I'm right, they're one of the teams that have had players that have played for Coventry last year. But yeah, I think it's really impressive that they kept it so close for so long. So you say the cards were a bit unfortunate, bit questionable.
Well, the yellow card for the guy, I mean, he was just. I mean, to be fair, he was on the side. He was closest to me on the side of the pitch, and he was quite gobby through the game. To be honest, he was kind of
roughy.
He was letting it go, and but yeah, why he felt the need to chuck two balls towards the tap, I've no idea. But by this time, the other ball had come back on as well, so we had three balls on the pitch at once, and I think the ref had kind of thought,
this is the new multi-ball system that Super League are trying to offer.
Multi-ball, yeah. I just think the ref thought, maybe because he'd been in his ear pretty much most of the half, he said, yeah, you can have 10 minutes for that. But yeah, the high shot was, it was a bit of a shoulder charge kind of thing, kind of, there was no real attempt to wrap around, and he definitely caught him high. As I said, it was about 40 yards away, so I didn't see it close up. But again, yeah, on the touch judge's advice, he sent him off. But yeah, they were just a bit lacking in an attacking shape. Longhorns. They scored a try out wide, which was a good move, kind of in the gap where the kind of winger had departed. But generally speaking, there was a lot of, I think they got held up over the line maybe 4 or 5 times, but it was kind of just pushover kind of stuff. They never looked likely to score in those kind of circumstances. But they had a bit of field position, and they could, they put up a really good performance, and I was kind of pleasantly surprised at how close the match was, I have to say.
Yeah, the game that was on Saturday that I did watch most of the first half of and had half an eye on the second half of was actually Oral St James versus Underbank Rangers. And the scoreline, 30-12 to Underbank, kind of underpinned how the game went in reality. They probably were, like almost 3 times as likely in the game. It felt like particularly in the second half. Every time I looked over it, they were having a little bit of a sustained spell, whereas Orrell were maybe a bit more error prone. Every time Orrell looked like they were going to snatch a chance,